We are talking about society and the environment. Society and environment. We'll try to understand environment basically and what is the impact of society. The environment around us, it affects us and we affect it. This is mutual. For example, this environment has everything. The plants, trees, organisms, living, what you see, what you not see. So those who live in cities, they get food from where? They are getting it from, for example, I'm living in a city. So I will get the food from village because there is no agriculture in the urban areas, very less. So in villages, the cities also, everyone, we are dependent on forests, grasslands, rivers, seashores. So all these resources like water, fuel, wood, fodder, we are dependent on it. We are using it because we need food, and we are dependent on living plants and animals. So this is a web of life. How do we live? That is, we are living, and there is a chain. There is a proper chain, food chain, and our requirements also. So everything around us is environment. Everything is environment. And we, as a human being, our lives depends on flora and fauna. So what do we need for eating? For example, we need potato, we need onion, we need the cereals, fish, mutton, chicken, beef, pork, the corn, oil, papaya, banana. There are so many things which we need. Everyone does the omelette as breakfast, boiled eggs. So I'm talking about flora and fauna. You can relate flora with flowers. So flora, flowers, that is how you can relate it, that all the plants are, our plant related species are flora. Fauna, we are talking about animals. So flora, all plants, everywhere you'll find it, and fauna, that is in different parts on different climate, you will find different kind of fauna. Now coming to school, the school is also an environment. Your school is also an environment. So now the school environment comprises of what? Two things. For example, this is your house. This house has buildings near to it. They will have trees. So in a school also, we have a physical environment and a socio-cultural environment. Physical and socio-cultural environment. In physical, what we want? We want building, we want good schools, library, laboratories, and the corridors, good corridors for the kids to walk and play, kitchen, a toilet of course, and then garden, and of course for playground. So this is the physical environment of a school, physical environment. That is how kids love to go to school, when you have all this kind of environment. The second environment of school is socio-cultural environment. Socio comes from society, social. So social cultural environment is represented by, or you can say manifested by various things. What this socio-cultural gives us, shows us, manifests us? So first is the teaching, how the teacher teaches and how the students are taught. Student activities, the learning attitude, the social behavior, the discipline of the kids, and they are following rules and regulation, how they look for the caste, religion, and creed for other person, and what are the achievements of students. So this is the socio-cultural environment. So let me tell you again, in a school environment, we have two environments, physical and socio-cultural environment. Now coming to the economic development. Economy is all about money, development. Whatever development is taking place, economy is involved, money is involved. So industries are there, jobs, different establishment, different industries are coming up. So this has given us environmental pollution. For example, look at this industry. You see the fumes coming out. So it is giving us population in turn of economic development. So this pollution, it comes with that. So now you talk about, for example, talk about agriculture. Now we want to grow good food for ever increasing population. For that we need good fertilizers. We need to put more pesticides. For say we need some hybrid crops to be grown. That is, in less time it may create good crops. But because of these fertilizers, because of these pesticides and using of these hybrid crops, the resultant is overuse of chemicals. We are overusing the chemicals. That is, the soil and the environment are degraded. See here, this is a natural ecosystem. But when you are making it or using it for agriculture purpose and not using it in a good way, ruthlessly or excessively agriculturing, then what will happen? The nutrient value, the fertility will go down, the pesticides and insecticide will come into the food chain, and ultimately sometimes, anyway, you are going to eat it or you are succumb to it. So this overusing of chemical, the overutilization of all these is will hurt us. So it is degrading the soil as well as degradation of environment. So the stability of environment is threatened because of this excessive use. Okay. So what we are doing today, we have to think and we have to see that the agriculture has to be sustainable. It is not only for us. We have to do it, or we have to keep it for our kids, their kids, or the next generation. We have to think about next generation also. Then we have to have the sustainable agriculture. Along with this, we need, so all the design should be eco-friendly, eco-fashion design. We can use as manure friendly, when manure, wormy kind of manure. Then solar panels we can use rather than using the conventional or traditional energy. The homes can be made environment friendly and environment sustainable. So you see, Indian Constitution is saying, it has already saying that protection and improvement of environment quality is already there. That is, and the Constitution also says about this. Article 48A of the Indian Constitution, it says that the state or the country should or shall endeavor to protect and improve the environment and to safeguard and the forest and the wildlife of the country. So this is already there in our Constitution. So this is our national duty. This is the responsibility of every citizen of this country, that we need to protect the environment, and it is already given under the Indian Constitution. Society and environment. So people live everywhere. You talk about freezing temperature or scorching heat. They are living in villages, they are living in cities, states and countries. Let me start with the country. So in country, they have different states. In various countries, they are called as provinces. Now we have different districts, we have cities, we have towns, and then we have the villages. So this is how we see that people live in various places. So all these people, they form society. So wherever they live, it's Samaj. They are creating the society. Society is all about people. So people, you, me, and everyone, basically it's people. So where we are actually interacting with environment and we are changing it. We change the environment. We are modifying the environment. So because we need economic development, we need work, we need stuff for people. For example, if say shoe, in order to make shoe for any human being, we need some industry. This from where it comes? Shoes comes from the skin of various animals. So the environment is already involved. In order for us to live, environment will be affected. So the problem is that we are affecting the balance which the ecology has created. The environmental is balanced, and because we are affecting it in a bad way, it will affect the environment. Because the God or the Almighty has already given us something. For example, if we have many deers, a population of deer increases, the lion, the leopard, they would eat these deer so that the population of deer is regulated. Otherwise, these deer will be so many, they will finish the forest eating the plants. So, you see, because of the population, see, we have 136 crores in India. So, for example, one shoe is required for one man. 136 crores, it's 136 crore shoes are required. For that, we need to have various raw material and the industries. So, the environmental will be affected in a good way or a bad way. It will be affected. So, we are basically pressurizing the environment. We are destroying the environment. What we are seeing today also, global warming, etc. The industrial development, if you see there, this is industry. We need industry. I'm not saying we don't need industry. We need agriculture. I'm not saying we don't need it. We need this. But the excessive or intensive kind of industrialization, intensive and excessive kind of agriculture is a problem, because now we have a consumer-oriented society. We need toothpaste, we need shoe, we need clothes, we need car, we need Ducati, we need Lamborghini. So we are consumer-oriented society. For that, the production will be there. So we are eating up, we are using the natural resources. Natural resources are those resources which are provided by the Mother Earth. They are created by themselves. So we are utilizing this or we are over-pressurizing these natural resources. So we have water, minerals, petroleum products, wood. All these are natural resources. Oil creates what? Petroleum, diesel, wood, sun, forest, rock. Almighty means this is how the plant create food. Then we have animals, we eat them, we take milk, water, soil, air. These are all natural resources. And the more we excessively use them, the situation will go bad. So what are the natural resources? The natural resources, it can be defined as any natural or artificial substance, energy or organism which is used by human or human being for its welfare. So it can be natural, it can be artificial. We are talking about a resource. We'll talk about artificial resources just now. But in case of resources or natural resources, these are utilized, or natural or artificial both are utilized by human being. We eat from food. We transport through diesel or petrol. So we are depending on the environment. We are depending on the mother nature to survive. So these are what? These are sansadhan, these are resources. So it includes everything like water, land, the soil, the rocks, the forest, the animals, the fossil fuels, the minerals. So these resources, we are dependent upon them for our living. Okay? So they are called natural resources because they are the basis of life on earth. Natural resources are the means for us to survive. This is how we live. If we don't have these natural resources, we don't have air, water or sunlight or anything like the soil, we won't be able to live. Our basis of living is these natural resources, right? So these natural resources can be consumed directly or indirectly. In either way, directly and indirectly. For instance, directly, how do we take? We are directly dependent on the forest. The forest, we are taking them directly because forest is giving us food. Forest is giving us biomass, that is the tree, plant, etc. For various medicinal purpose, we need for health, we need the medicinal content from forest. So we are talking about food. Forest is giving biomass, health. For recreation, we go to forest safari, jungle safari. And we need comfort also, we need luxury also. This is directly using. How about indirectly using the resources? Or how this indirectly forest use? Forest is regulating the environment. It's regulating the climate. Because if you go to desert, all these plants, they will have thorn. And these thorn saves water. So this is how what I'm talking about, regulating the climate. It will stop the flood because it will hold the soil, the land. If some storm is coming, if we have a chain of trees, it will stop it. All the nutrients which are depleted over the time, it is recycled or cycled by this forest also, poshak tattva, for our body, for the plants. So this is done by forest. So these resources are like this. See, there are resources which are naturally occurring, but there are certain which are created or developed by human beings. And these are called as artificial resources. I told you about natural resources. Now I'm talking about the artificial resources. What are these artificial resources? The resources which we have created over the time, over the life. For example, the biogas, all the waste material, the dung, the excreta, if you combine them, put it somewhere for the time, it will create gas. Then the electricity, your refrigerator, your TV, your mobile, everything is run by electricity or the battery. And the plastics which are used everywhere now. So natural resources, the Mother Earth gives us, these are natural resources. And we have artificial resources. Artificial resources are created by us. I was talking about this forest. Forest is giving us oxygen. Biodiversity means different kind of flora and fauna living together in harmony, in balance, right? And these services, everything we are getting it from, for example, wood. Wood we use for furniture. Wood we use for, in various places, for warming, for heating, for making food, for making the, say, railway line track planks. So all the man-made materials, resources which we are making. It can be a cup, it can be a cap, it can be a TV, it can be a rug, it can be a ladder, it can be a trunk. All these are man-made resources. They are not naturally occurring. So natural resources, prakritik sansadhan, they are of various forms. So it may be in a solid form, liquid form, or a gaseous form. And these are the categories which I am talking about. It can also be organic and inorganic. That is, organic means from the living, inorganic from the non-living. There is also metallic and non-metallic. Metals have luster, they are good conductor of electricity. Non-metal are not. So when we talk about natural resources, we have different kind of resources. So we are talking about land resources. Land resources, because human beings, plants, animals, they all use land, soil, because we are producing our food from there. Or agriculture, this is done on land only. We are doing recreation also, and we live here. Our residence, our building, our high-rises on these land resources only. But the thing is that we have agriculture land and non-agriculture land. And the land is limited because in our globe, the land is limited. We cannot increase it. So land resources, the roads are being made, houses are being made, buildings are being made. Even if you want to play something like golf, you need land. You need land for agriculture. So this is how this land becomes so important. Coming to forest resources. Forest means a group of flora and fauna and the trees. So 1947, what was our population? Around 34.5 to be precise. 35 crores, now we are 135 crores. 135 crores. At that time also the resources were scarce, the population was high. Now we have 135 crores using the same resources. So the forest is a natural, means it comes by itself. Self-sustaining means it sustains, it balances itself. Community characterized by, how do we characterize it? By a vertical structure created by the presence of these trees. So we have trees, combination of trees, as I said. We have flora and fauna also here. So these trees gives us wood. And by wood, we can make various things. We are making railway sleepers, matches, plows, bridges, boats. You know, this, even in our house, we have furniture. made up of this wood coming from the forest, small to small, big to big. This forest and the wood becomes so important. We are also using it for cooking purposes. In the village area, the rural area, this wood is only used for cooking. And if you go to winter areas, we fire it, lit it to keep ourselves warm. So tannins, gums, drugs, spices, insecticides, waxes, honey, horns, musk, ivory, hides, all are provided by forest, and especially the flora and fauna which is found in our forest. Flora are basically plants, fauna are animals, different type of animals, birds. So honey, for example, drugs and insecticides. So you see here, with maximum things, we are getting it from forest only. Water resources. Water is the key. So water resources, wherever we have water. Water is covering 3/4 of Earth's surface. Means water is everywhere. 3/4, I am talking about 75%. Our globe is covered by water. That is why we are a blue planet. Blue planet. Everywhere we have water. And it is, 75 is a big number. But only 2.5%, only, less than 3% is available as fresh water. That is the water we drink. But the thing is, without food you can survive for some days. Without water you can't even survive for 2, means you will be uneasy if you don't get water. Water is so important. So water resources, water is necessary for human life. In water resources, what comes? Rivers, lakes, oceans, even the underground water. We are called as underground aquifers. All these comes. So without water, agriculture cannot be done. Without water, there will be no industries. In our household, day-to-day life, we use water every time for any recreational activity, environmental activity. We need water. Water resources are so important. The plant need water, the animal need water. Now coming to mineral resources. Minerals are nothing but rocks, but good rocks. Say expensive rocks, important rocks. So mineral deposit is a concentration of naturally occurring solid, liquid or gaseous material on the earth crust. Earth crust is around from top to 60 kilometers earth crust. So what we get here, these minerals, and these minerals are basically rock. They have transformed into different form. So after some time, these rocks, they change their composition and finally give rise to mineral. And this mineral becomes important, profitable, important, and money-wise important for everyone. So we can convert this into useful materials which are very profitable. For example, gems, anything. So these sona, chandi and gold and diamond, they are minerals only. So let me show you some minerals here. We have jasper, galena, halite, and all these different metals and non-metals can be extracted from there. So these minerals are non-renewable. Now you'll answer, when it is coming by nature, why it is non-renewable? Non-renewable means once we use it, it cannot be renewed because it takes years, thousand lakhs of years to make this. So mineral resources are actually non-renewable because it takes millions years to make iron, copper, aluminium, metals and non-metals. These are metals, as I said, there are certain properties, metals. They are conductor of electricity, they are lustrous, they are malleable, they are ductile. So all these properties differentiate a metal from a non-metal. So metal is a mineral resource. Non-metal, we have all these non-metals also we get. For example, salt, gypsum, clay, sand, phosphates. These are all coming to this non-metals. And some minerals, you will get it, in some ores or some combination, you will get only one of them. See, some ores you can extract various metals and non-metals. But sometimes there are certain minerals which are only single element occurring. So classification of minerals, we can divide it into metallic, non-metallic and energy minerals. I told you about the properties that differentiate them. So in energy minerals, we have coal, petroleum, natural gas, when they are burned or they do combustion, we get energy from it. We get good energy from it. So metallic, I told you, ferrous, iron containing, non-iron containing are non-ferrous, and they are precious. For example, gold, silver, platinum, and this also defines one of the part of economy also. Coming to food resources. Food is what we eat, what animals eat. So these resources which are used as food, or they provide food for organisms. I'm not only talking about humans, I'm talking about every organism. Every organism needs food. You talk about lion, you talk about a deer, they need food. And plants, they serve the main food resource. For whom? Herbivores and omnivores. So who are herbivores and omnivores? And see, there are three categories. First is herbivore. Herbivore, those who only eat plant. They are vegetarian. Carnivore, they only eat mutton, meat. They don't eat plants. Omnivore, they eat both. Means they will eat chicken also, they will eat vegetable also. So herbivores and omnivores, they use food resources as plants. But talking about animals and birds, they are also source of food for those who are called as carnivores and omnivores. Carnivores and omnivores, like human being, as I said. They eat meat also, they eat beef also. So agriculture is the main source of this plant food resource for human being. We eat the rice and all the cereals are coming from agriculture only. So we get food resources from here. This is the food resource picture I wanted to show. Coming to energy resources. Energy resources, basically energy producing. Once they do combustion, once you do the combustion activity, they will produce heat, power. So this energy can be used to produce heat. It can produce power. It can move objects. It can produce electricity also. So an energy resource can be heat providing, power providing, or even moving the objects and producing the electricity. So there are 5 fundamental sources of energy. Nuclear fission and fusion, there are 2. So nuclear fusion, for example, the sun is giving us energy because of nuclear fusion. Here inside nucleus, I'm not going into the details, the particles inside, they combine. And when they combine, they produce a lot of energy. That is the solar energy. Then we have nuclear fission also, but before that, gravity generated by the Earth and Moon, this is also a source of energy. The waves are formed because of this only. Nuclear fission is basically same thing. As I said, nuclear fusion, there are a particle combining. In nuclear fission, the particle is dividing into 2. And then we have inside Earth, because inside Earth, it's all hot. And above this, we have the geothermal energy kind of thing. The chemical bonds, covalent, ionic. If you see the chemical reaction, you will see energy here, either absorbed or released. So what we are today getting energy is coming from fossil fuels. These fossil fuels are coming from the plants and animals which have died, and over lakhs of years they have transformed into fossil fuel. Crude oil producing the petroleum, the gases, the oils, the diesels. So this is fossil fuel. So fossil fuels, the problem is with fossil fuel is, first of all, they are created in millions of years. So they are non-renewable. Once you use it, they cannot be renewed. They cannot be renewed. Like petroleum, like diesel, like coal also. Natural gas is coming over and crude oils. Any deposit of crude oil, you will find natural gas above it. And this non-renewable, they are non-renewable. One more thing, they cause pollution. They cause a harmful effect on the environment. For example, nitrous oxide, the carbon dioxide, and so many gases are released. So natural resources, that is coming from our Mother Earth. So we can divide it into various categories. For example, inexhaustible resources and exhaustible resources. Exhaust means it will finish. Something that will finish or has finished. So inexhaustible resources are those resources which will never be exhausted. And exhaustible resources means in due course of time they will get exhausted or finished. Inexhaustible resources, that is a human, if he is or she is using or we are using, then they will never be exhausted. These are inexhaustible. We have solar radiation, wind power, water power, tidal power. All these falls under this category. Tidal means the waves. Wave have power. They have energy. Hydroelectricity generated by water power. When it comes to exhaustible resources, those resources which are limited in quantity, we know the quantity beforehand. For example, if you have 2 chocolates, if you eat one and then if you know that one is remaining, if you eat both of them, that means they are exhausted. So you know the quantity of these resources and you know the number, and with consumption, with continuous use, they will finally be exhausted. For instance, take example of coal. So this picture is of a coal and the amount is fixed, limited. It takes thousands of years for coal to be formed. So one day when we are using it, there will be no more coal. So we will just talk about this non-renewable and renewable energy. You can have a look here, but I'll be discussing that. So there are different categories. One more is renewable resources and non-renewable resources. Renewable resources, renew means, what does renew means? Renew means it will come again. It can replenish, it can again make themselves. So renewable resources are those resources which are constantly available, like water. Water in every form it will be there, the content, the number is fixed. But it will never be finished. If you use water, it will not be exhausted. It can be replaced or it can be recovered. But if you see somewhere it is flood, somewhere it is drought, right? So you see like forest. If you remove that forest and if you leave this land, in due course of time, the forest and trees will come. But it takes a lot of time. So some renewable resources, they can be replenished easily, but some of them take millions of years, thousands of years. So that is why they are not renewable. Some of these resources which are exhaustible, that is, which are going to be finished, they are coming from nature. They are naturally regenerated. I gave you an example of forest trees and plants. So we destroy a forest or we cut a forest or plant, the plant and forest will come by itself. If you leave a land, it will come by itself. If new one will grow by itself. But if you cut a forest and if you use this land for say human purpose, like construction of building or say some other human purpose, it will be lost forever. That land will never grow the forest or plant. Okay? Then it will not be renewable. So renewable energy systems, that is those renewed and they produce energy also. So these renewable energy sources or energy system, they will be replaced, and if you use these energy systems, they are less polluting as well. If you use solar energy, hydropower, the geothermal energy, hydropower is basically waves, the biomass. Geothermal is because earth is inside is very hot, so you get heat out of it. So this geo is globe, our earth, and thermal is heat. So it is coming from the inside. When I go to non-renewable resources, once you use it, it will not be easily replaced. Once, that is, if you destroy it, they will not come so easily. For example, you use oxygen and then you give oxygen out, carbon dioxide out. Plant will take this carbon dioxide and form it again into oxygen. But there are certain resources which will never be regenerated. Fossil fuels. Fossil fuels are basically formed by the plants and animals which have died millions of years ago, lakhs of years ago. The minerals, for example. Minerals are a rock to become a mineral. it takes a lot of time. There is a natural process. It will take a rock cycle. So in non-renewable resources, we have one more category, organic and inorganic. Organic, that is living beings. The resources which are found by living beings are organic. Those are found by non-living things. These are inorganic. So this non-renewable resources can be inorganic and organic. So we can give an example of inorganic as minerals, because rocks are not living, wind, land, soil and rock. So let me tell you again, there are different categories. We talked about exhaustible and inexhaustible. We talked about renewable and non-renewable resources. Non-renewable resources can be categorized again into inorganic and organic. Non-renewable resources and renewable resources. So we know that non-renewable resources cannot be renewed. They cannot replenish itself. Renewable resources, they will replenish itself. So let us understand it by example. See, these are example. LPG, once you use, it will not come so easily. But if wind or air or water, if you use, it can be replenished. It will be replenished. It will never be destroyed. It will never be destroyed. So in non-renewable resources, first example is coal. Coal is one of the cheapest sources of fuel. Everywhere it is used. And it is used previously also, and now also in powerhouses, in factories, in cooking, for heating purpose. This coal is used. One of the most important is petroleum. So as I said, crude oil, which we find normally, if you go to these Arab countries, Saudi Arab, Qatar, Bahrain, all these, so they have a lot of crude oil. So we refine it and then we get petrol, diesel, all these. Mineral oils also. So powerhouses, furnaces, they run motor vehicles, all the motor vehicles. LPG is liquefied petroleum gas. So this is you have LPG in your house. So this is used for cooking, also for transportation, that is the running vehicles. Natural gas, normally wherever you find this crude oil, you will find natural gas above it. So because of animal and plant decomposition that have been buried under lakes and ocean millions and lakhs of years ago, this is how this crude oil and then the natural gas is formed. It is formed above the oil well normally. Wherever you get crude oil, you will get this natural gas normally. So this CNG, compressed natural gas, is used for running vehicles. Then the nuclear plants, nuclear energy, nuclear fission, nuclear fusion. So we generally use this nuclear fission in our nuclear plants. So nuclear fusion is what we see in our sun. So electricity can be generated by it, by nuclear reactions, because it gives a very, very huge level of energy. But here is a problem, the danger. We have heard about Chernobyl. It wiped out whole city because of the disaster, Chernobyl disaster in Russia. Hiroshima, Nagasaki, these were atom bombs, and it just destroyed the whole country. 2 cities were essentially finished. Minerals. So minerals are basically rocks only. So the earth contains different kind of rocks which are important for us, like gold, bauxite, aluminum we find out from here. Iron ore, we get iron and we transfer it into steel. They are various. So because we are overutilizing it, overexploiting it, they are reducing, and it takes so many time to recover. So these are non-renewable resources, but there are certain resources which can be renewed, like water. But situation is we only have less than 3%, only 2.5% water which is available. Basically 75% of our earth is covered by water, but only fresh water which we can drink or use for our purpose is only 2.5%. This is only fresh water we have. And this energy from the rivers, making a dam, we can employ it for electricity. We have the tides also. So we can have the tidal power we can use. We can use turbine, we can employ turbine and convert it into this energy into electricity. But it has to be very hard or very powerful tides. Sun is almighty. Every day you wake up with this. So sun can be used for electricity. For example, it can run calculator, street lamps, room heaters, even the water heaters. Then coming to wind. So wind, if wind is coming, then you cannot even stand. So it has a powerful, wind is very powerful. So it can be used for grinding grain, pumping water. This can also be converted to electricity if you use the windmill. Biomass is basically the plants and the everything bio which is living, it produces, when it dies, it produces biomass. So this energy can be produced by this. It can be used for cooking. It can be used for electricity and heat. It can be produced. Biomass. So if you see, the wood is used to heat. Then soil. Everyone grows in soil only. Nutrients in the soil. It helps to plant to grow. And this soil is also, you are making house also in there. This mitti or soil is used everywhere. But the problem is we are polluting it. Soil pollution, soil degradation is going on because a lot of construction we are doing. We are cutting down trees ruthlessly. Then we have forest. Forests are what? They are trees. So it is actually preserving the ecological balance forest is doing. It will give you clean air. The clouds are being formed because of this. They give us all the useful material like wood, fruit, plant products of good medicinal value. So these are non-renewable resources, but we need to use them judiciously. Now, when it comes to the societies which are traditional, like those we see in our villages and somewhat in town, basically in rural areas. So this is the traditional societies, and they have a somewhat less population. They don't have that much people. And since the population is less, they require less resources. When people are less, they will utilize or exploit less resources. Now, because of this, the biodiversity, Jaiva Vividta, is a different kind of flora and fauna you find in a single location. But today, because we have become consumer, we need everything. This is the affluent society. See, these are the high-rise buildings we have. Everyone is getting money, everyone is earning money, they want a good lifestyle, they want car, they want to go by aircraft, they want to eat best food. See, United States is a single person using 30% of resources as compared to other countries, single person. So they are getting depleted. And finally, it will lead to extinction of various plant and animal species. This is being finished. So this is what we are doing here. All the plants and animals are going to somewhat in danger. So human activities, we are destroying the environment, and then because we are over exploiting, we are misusing the resources which we shouldn't. Just because we want a good life today, why don't we think about others? For example, we are polluting, we are doing deforestation, we are doing the mining. That is, we are taking out minerals, digging deep into the earth crust. So how do we damage our earth? How we are doing this wrong thing? First is over exploitation. We are exploiting it to the extent the imbalance is happening. See, the result, when we use it, it's okay. But we are using it and we are not giving it time to replenish itself. For example, in your fridge, you take milk every day. Now, if you drink milk, all milk, there will be nothing left for whole day. You have to wait till next day, till the time the milkman come. So the problem is we are using it so much excessively that we are not giving it time to replenish itself. So there are different species, flora and fauna, which are endangered, and some of them have found their extinction also. So finally, we are affecting the environment, we are affecting the ecological cycle, we are destroying the food chain. I give an example. There are certain plants which are medicinal value, like the turmeric, etc. Now we just leave this animal to graze. So they overgraze. We are cutting the forest. You see here, this is a normal picture we see today. And we are doing overfishing, and then we are hunting the animals. We are overexploiting the forest, which is the lifesaver. Forest is lifesaver. And this is the natural habitat of plant and animals. Those are very important for our society and for our culture. Now there is one more thing. We are doing mining. See, I am not saying mining is bad. I am not saying deforestation is bad. At certain juncture we have to do it if it is highly necessary. But the problem is what we are doing is mining. If you do like this, That is, a deep hole is being dug on earth, and then we try to get ores, important metals, non-metals from here, and then we take these ores and we refine it to get valuable elements like the metals, good metals like bauxite, etc. They finally give you aluminium, gems and gold, etc., coal, etc. Now I am just saying that mining is not bad, but the problem is that when we leave it, what will happen to this place? It has environmental impacts. First thing, it will cause erosion, soil erosion. It will act as a sinkhole. All the biodiversity, that is the plant and animal, they will have imbalance. That is, they will lose their whole being. Soil is being contaminated, groundwater, where it will be. So chemicals are also we are using. The other thing is deforestation. We are cutting the forest. If we clear the forest and we change the land use into forest use, if we just clear the jungle or forest, now we start making say houses, housing societies, and all these forest, non-forest use, we are using it maybe for agriculture or construction of some building, establishment, or even your house or high rises. So what we are doing, we are actually destroying the habitat of plants and animals. So these plants and animal species will eventually be extinct. One more thing is pollution. Pollution, this word has come from Latin word. It has come from polluere, and polluere is to soil. To soil is basically contaminating, that is defile, contaminating. So this is whatever is clean, if you are mixing something and making it not unusable or harmful, that is pollution. So pollution can be for anything. So there are pollutants. If you have water and if you put some material that is harmful for us, so the pollutant can be solid, it can be liquid, it can be gaseous form, so it can be of either form. So pollution is affecting us. It is affecting the surroundings. It is affecting the atmosphere. So it is harmful. I am not talking about only human. The respiratory problem is so much. The data is showing Delhi is the capital of pollution. Highest pollution is there. We are thinking about ourselves. What about animals and plants? They are also taking they are also taking sans air. So basically we are doing this, and it will have a detrimental effect on the environment. Water we are putting waste, land we are putting waste, air we are putting waste, the pollutants, anything which is harmful are pollutants. See, a factory, it consumes a lot of water, it consumes electricity, and finally what is the result? It gives out chemicals, effluents, and this goes to air also, land also, water also, everywhere, right? Now it is contaminating the environment, it is contaminating, or it is polluting, soiling the atmosphere. Water pollution caused by the factories. This is a serious problem. The petroleum, diesel we use for various purposes, for our car, our truck, etc. So it is producing a lot of emissions, fuel emissions, and these emissions contains harmful gases, petroleum gases, all they produce. For example, carbon dioxide is coming, methane is coming. Carbon dioxide is a global warming gas. Methane, nitrous oxide is very dangerous for our lungs, for our respiration. See the corona, all these things, why we are not immune now. We are affected by corona so easily. So these are all harmful for everyone, for living beings. So we discussed about pollutants. So whatever is clear like air, water, now when we mix inadvertently or purposefully in solid, liquid, gaseous form some contamination, some bad thing, some harmful thing, which is harmful for not us humans, but also for the living beings, other living beings, the plants. These are pollutants, and these cause pollution. So there are two types of pollutants we can define. One is pollutants that decompose, or pollutants that cannot decompose. So there are certain things like human waste or or anybody's waste, plant waste. So in due course of time, it will become soil. That is, the composition from which it is formed, finally, it will be made in the same way by the nature. But those which cannot decompose, that means it will remain in that form ever. So this is pollutants that cannot decompose. So pollutants that break down into simpler, smaller, harmless substances naturally, that is by the mother nature, by the action of say temperature, pressure, moisture, bacteria, microorganisms. These are called biodegradable pollutants. For example, vegetable waste, because we make vegetable every day, whatever waste is coming. Sewage waste, that is your human excreta, the animal excreta, the paper, the wood, the cattle dung, and the agriculture waste. Because basically the animal are like us only, they also eat and they also excrete. Because if you see cow dung, after some time you will see it will become normal, like soil. Agriculture waste, from organic waste. So these are pollutants, but they will decompose by itself in due course of time. They will not be there forever. They will take the form which is, say, friendly to the nature. So it will not be that harmful. But pollutants that cannot decompose, these are dangerous. That is, which cannot be broken into smaller, simpler parts or harmless parts or substances. These are non-biodegradable pollutants. So the harmful effect which are caused by or given by these pollutants will remain there for hundreds and thousands of years. Why we are saying that don't use plastic? Why we are saying insecticides, pesticides, chemicals we should not use, like mercury, lead, and there are so many, aluminium, glass, metals, non-metals, and they will take life to decompose. It will remain with us, for us, in a food chain, in our air, water, land. Glass, if it breaks, the very small parts it will result, and where it is going you don't know. So it is there with every one of us. It's very dangerous. So we need to be very careful about these pollutants. So the factors which are responsible for polluting the environment, what are these? First is your car, your bike, the vehicles, different vehicles on the road. They create fumes which are coming from vehicles, and they go directly into the air. The aircraft, air travel, it's most dangerous because it's hurting the ozone layer. Then we use, for excessive agriculture, we use chemicals, for example, insecticides, fertilizers, pesticides. So the alkaline, see, this is the soil pollution I'm talking about. Soil has a proper pH value, that is the acidic or the alkaline value, base value. In that value only, the microorganism, the content, nutrient will remain. If the pH value change, that is the acidic value change, it will harm the soil. The microorganisms, the living being and others, they will not be able to live there. Okay? So this is what is adversely affecting the health of the microorganisms, the different organisms like the wormy. So this is how, because it eventually go into our food chain. So the pH value is dangerous for water also and for soil also, because the plant has to grow, the microorganism has to live. I talked about plastic. These are the most dangerous one, like the bottles and the poly bags. See, whenever it goes, it pollutes the water also and destroys the flora and fauna. For example, the cow is our mother, but cow dies when cow eat polythene because she doesn't know what she is eating. All the animals does that. So we are actually killing our friends like animals. Dangerous gases like chlorofluorocarbons, methane, CH4, carbon dioxide, nitrous oxide, N2O, it is not NO, it is N2O. This is released into the air, and these are so dangerous. For example, if someone around you, he is burning waste. You will not be able to breathe in your house. This is how this is affecting. So there are types of pollution. What we are discussing one by one. So we have land pollution, water pollution, and air pollution. There is one more pollution we are talking about is noise pollution. Noise pollution is not so much talked, but it is also dangerous for every human being, every living being, everyone. So what is it? We are talking about land pollution or soil pollution. So land pollution, we are not talking about noise pollution. We have not given here, but it is a. So if you are in a hospital, if there is some jagran going on or some azan going on, or some any gurbani is going on, if it is in loudspeaker, you're not able to recite. You use headphone every time, and you see it's a very high volume. In due course of time, you will not be able to hear. Without eyes, without ears, you cannot live. It's very difficult to live. So land pollution is the damage to the land because of harmful substances. This is land pollution. Soil pollution, it causes the soil degradation. What is water pollution? When we add dangerous and harmful substances, or you can say disease-causing bacteria, or any microorganisms in your water resources like rivers, lake, ocean, this is water pollution. So the clean water which Mother Earth has given us, we are polluting it. I'll give you an example. It is coming later, but this is very important. There is a ship, and there are lakhs of tons of oil there. Say, for example, crude oil. Now, it is always possible that the ship can sink, and you will see thousands of kilometers. This oil it will float on the ocean surface, and what will happen to the fish, the aquatic ecosystem? So this is what we are doing because we want economic development. We want good luxury life. What is air pollution? Addition of harmful gases and particles in air. This is air pollution. As I talked about the methane, the carbon dioxide, the nitrous oxide, all these are dangerous. What happens because of this pollution? We saw what is it. Now what happens because of this pollution? Diseases, problem, land pollution, dysentery, this excreta will never stop. The cholera, the typhoid, all comes from land pollution. Typhoid is a very dangerous, you get so weak in typhoid, you will not be able to walk. Then if you destroy a soil or it degrades, there will be no agriculture, you cannot grow a forest, no farms, even homes cannot be made there. How about water pollution? What happens because of this water pollution? Again, same thing, diseases. Most of the diseases are waterborne. All these waterborne diseases like the dysentery, diarrhea, jaundice, typhoid, all are coming like this. Like, see, if water is get polluted, the earning will drop because the water is important for tourism. It is important for fishing. So it will adversely affect everyone. We have less drinking water that we can count upon. See, air pollution, you and me both are involved in all this pollution. See, air pollution, because air, we need air to breathe. So all the respiratory problems which are growing, the kids are getting asthma. This is because of people are getting cancers also, lung cancer. So the air pollution will affect the climate change. You see in April, May, we are in this, tropical or subtropical part. What we are getting? Ushkatibandiya. We are getting snow. So droughts, famines and floods. All these, Kedarnath was all destroyed because of this. Because we are the person who have caused this. So what we don't see is what we consequently see. And why does it happen? Land pollution, why does it happen? We are cutting the trees. We are using, excessive pesticides and fertilizers. We are doing mining. We are doing heavy construction. We are releasing everything to the sewage, toilet waste. You're just putting it on the land. How about water pollution? We are just throwing waste in any water. We are not treating it. We are releasing everything. And as I said, accidental oil leakage, I told you. This always, every 6 months we see this happens. And the oil will never go. It will remain on that soil. There is no way to take it out. Air pollution. Why does it happen? Because we are burning fuels, we are burning fossil fuels, these traffic, we have so much of fossil fuel, the petroleum, diesel we are using, the traffic in the transport system, the petrol, diesel are being used, the gases, different gases are emitted, and we are burning the waste of crops. We are not utilizing it in other way. We are, see, in Delhi, the Punjab and Haryana, whenever the agriculture is over, they burn the parali, they burn the remnants. That will cause a problem. Pesticides and fertilizers we are using, smoke is coming from industries and factories. The dust, immense dust, which is coming out of the construction area. So this is, why does it happen? So how to prevent it? The main question is how, this is very important. We have to stop it. We need to reduce the waste for land pollution. We have to segregate the waste product. It is coming later also. I'll talk about this. But segregation is basically, we have wet waste. That is, whatever vegetable or the meat and all these products are coming, we need to divide it. We need to plant trees. We have to adopt natural and organic farming techniques and methods. And always try to use biodegradable items. Don't use plastic. It is non-biodegradable. It will never go. It will remain there forever. Water pollution. Don't ever throw waste into water bodies. You need to treat them. So chemical, medicine, oil in drains, just put it like that. Avoid using the pesticides and fertilizers. You and the industries need to ensure, government has to ensure that the sewage coming from either house or factory, it has to be treated first. We need to use, see, if industry is giving hot water, that hot water will come into the rivers or lakes. What will happen if to the aquatic life? 100 degree or 100 more than that temperature is coming. Aquatic life, it will just dry. They cannot do anything. They cannot speak. We need to use water very wisely. This is highly important. Okay. So water will not come that way. It is renewable, but only less than 3% is for drinking. Next war people are saying it will be on water. Then air pollution, how to prevent it? Use renewable resources. Water, wind, geothermal, whichever is possible. Use vehicle as less as possible. Don't burn the leftover crops. Don't burn the waste. Don't do it. And avoid pesticides and fertilizers because they release harmful gases. So it is very important that if we separate the waste before throwing it into the garbage, wet waste is coming from vegetable and all those, home food making. And those plastic bottles, everything can be put in the dry waste. Because non-biodegradable pollutants, when it goes into the chain, it will never go down. Okay. So if you enter Delhi from the Uttarakhand, you will see there is a very big pahad, a mountain. You will see all kind of flies going on. Your car is like this, very small dot. It's very big. And you will see, oh, what kind of a mountain is this? And people will say it is not mountain, this is garbage. So these waste all have to be, if the vegetable waste is coming, put it in the soil, make it compost, make it as a manure. Okay, so you will have less waste to throw. Now you need to because whatever you are doing, it mixes with drinking water. You don't, everywhere you have to see that don't let it for other people, do it by yourself. Climate change. Now I'll give you an example for that. This is a bus, and assume this bus is in the daytime. This is the night time you see. This is a daytime. Now you are sitting here. Now if it is in the sun, I'm not talking about the advanced country, they will have air condition. What about us? You will not be able to sit it for long because it will get hot, and the hot air inside this will not allow you to sit because you will perspire. You will have all that. This will be uneasy to sit. Okay. Now this is a heated air. Now the same thing. We are making in developing countries, we use concrete and the bricks. It absorbs heat and then it releases heat in the night time. So we always see it is hot always in your house also, and out, even if it is outside hot, cold in the evening time. So this is what the heating effect is for wherever you see. So now this bus is hot, same way the earth is also getting hotter, because we are burning fossil fuels like coal, like petrol, like diesel, industry heat, water heat. Now when we are heating this, there is a way earth regulates itself. When sun's rays are coming, it is very hot. So some of them is absorbed, some of them is reflected. The absorbed heat is released. So we have a layer, and this atmosphere has controls the heat. It grabs the heat so that the earth don't become very cold in the night time. So this capacity of the atmosphere to stop the heat from going outside, this is the natural process. That is why we are able to live here. Otherwise, earth will be very cold in the night time. So the gases trap and prevent the earth heat from escaping. But this is good for us. But say if we need 10, I'm giving a number. But because of the excessive heat we are producing, it becomes 15. I'm just giving an example. Say it is 20. This is just a random number I'm taking. So now the number of heat has become 15 or say 20. Now what will happen to the glaciers? First of all, the heat will be very high, and the glaciers, the snow or the ice will melt. So all the low-lying areas that will be drowned in these oceans or rivers or lakes. Okay, so you will lose land because of this global warming. Because the warming which the earth require, you have increased the warming. So this is called global warming. That global means whole earth. Warming is heating. So this is the ability, actually it is good thing, ability of earth to retain heat is good for us. But to a limit, we are crossing a limit, so that is a greenhouse effect. You have seen when some crops are grown, there is a house being made, and the heat is kept inside. That is how the crop are grown. This is the greenhouse, but the detrimental effect is greenhouse effect. Okay. See, forest which is made by the earth God has made it very smartly. The forest has all the possibility, because the humans and animals, they release carbon dioxide, and the tree will do what? They will take carbon dioxide and they will produce oxygen. We can use this oxygen. So now we are cutting the forest. When we are cutting the forest, what will happen? The carbon dioxide is coming, industrialization, the heat is increasing. Carbon dioxide is the main ingredient of heat. So the greenhouse effect will increase. The heating, that is the global warming, will grow up, which is higher limit, which is we don't want. See, some greenhouse gases are there naturally. We cannot do anything for that. And they are there because we want to save earth. The earth need to be hotter at night. Otherwise it will be very dead cold. But when the natural processes it is coming, it is okay. But because it is coming from decomposition of organic matter, for example. But how about human activity? We can stop it. Burning fossil fuels, agriculture burning, all these are human activity, and this is adding up to the temperature of the earth, or carbon dioxide, the carbon dioxide coming, and that is the problem of that will cause the global warming. If this 10 becomes 50, we all would die. So the greenhouse gases, as I said, they are naturally also and human, because the nature is already producing and we are also adding up to it. For example, water vapor, carbon dioxide, the methane, CH4, the nitrous oxide, N2O, the ozone, O3. Okay. All these are what? They are the greenhouse gases. And nature is also producing, but we are also producing because of the industrialization, because of the industrial process, because we are doing all kind of manufacturing product. For example, we are making the cleaning agents, the refrigerants, the electrical insulators. All these are eventually producing these greenhouse gases, and they have the detrimental effect on the environment, the atmosphere, eventually the living organisms and the non-living ones also. So this fluorinated gas, you will see we have chlorine and fluorine also. So chlorofluorocarbons, hydrochlorofluorocarbons, we call it as HCFCs, hydrofluorocarbons, HFC. It is not HCFCs, it is HFC. So now, as I said, because of the excessive heat, the snow will melt and the low-lying area will drown. So I am talking about all these gases: water vapor, carbon dioxide, nitrous oxide, methane, chlorofluorocarbons, chlorine-fluorine combination. So chlorine and fluorine both are bond are there. So they are for good. I am not saying they are for bad. But when we are excessively producing it by ourselves, what will happen to the world? See, the percentage or the value should not increase too. If it goes above 2, carbon dioxide production or coming up, it will have a bad effect. So carbon dioxide, whatever we are doing, we are burning oil, we are burning coal, gas. This has increased 31% since the industrialization has taken place. Previously, it was not. 31% it has increased. It is a very big number, and it is causing more heat, which is trapped inside the lower atmosphere, which should not be there. We need a limit. Troposphere, the atmosphere. So heat has increased because of the climate is changing. We have flood, we have changes in the climate, we have drought, we have famine, we have crops, damage to crops and animal life. Okay. So I'll want to show a picture which you need to understand. So you see here all the countries which are producing the carbon. India is also producing 7%. So we need to stop it. I'm not saying about other countries. They also need to stop it. China is producing 28%. That is too high. 140 crores. We are 136, 137 crores. We are producing 7%. Russian Federation 5%, United States 15%. So China, and we don't want to be, in the first 4 position for bad reasons. Harmful radiation. Okay. See, the atmosphere. We have troposphere, then stratosphere, mesosphere, thermosphere, exosphere. So all these layers have something to do to help us. So the troposphere, where all the weather things are made, 9 to 14 kilometers. And there are other layers also. I'll talk about ozone just now. So they all have some of the other usage. So our whole atmosphere is protecting us from the harmful radiation coming from the sun. So it stops it. The most important layer is ozone layer. Why this is called as ozone layer? Because we have ozone, O3 here. O3, ozone gas. So all the ultraviolet rays, different sharpness, intensity, amplitude, wavelength, so it stops or it absorbs. You see all the creams we have today has a SPF number. So that SPF number is basically how far these ultraviolet rays this skin is protecting. Ozone is stopping. If you can imagine, if this ozone comes actually, this ultraviolet rays comes actually. The cleaning chemicals, coolant in refrigerators, air conditioners, they all release ozone depleting substances. Those substances, they react with O3. So when it reacts with O3, it will the O3 will lose its composition. For example, chlorofluorocarbons in the atmosphere, mainly the aircrafts. So they produce carbon dioxide also, and these also. So now what has happened? We have got holes in this ozone layer because of the usage of all these substances. So the ultraviolet rays are coming through it, and that is why this harmful radiation, when they come in abundant amount, then it may cause skin cancer. People are actually having skin cancer because of this ozone holes. So these are different layers, and as I'm saying, why we are using this umbrella? To stop these rays. That is how the umbrella of the earth is ozone. So it stops the harmful radiation. So we should not use all these things. Natural disasters. So the nature, Mother Earth, there are always disasters. You cannot do anything about that. Like floods, earthquakes, like the landslides which you see in this picture also, storms. There are so many natural disasters which takes place. Now, what we are doing is that we are exploiting these natural resources. We are making building, we are making dams, we are creating concrete jungles. So all these are making. So this is going to aggravate or emancipate the natural calamities and disasters, because there are certain zones of earthquake. If you make house or big buildings on the zone of earthquake, the situation when this calamities or disaster actually happens, it will be multifold, it will aggravate. If one person has to die, hundreds and thousands will die just because we are not taking care. Because we need to be very careful about this natural disaster. They are going to happen. Day before yesterday they were happening, today also they are happening, and day after tomorrow also they will happen. So the question arises is what you can do to save the environment. In order to save our environment, first thing is to educate. You and me should have education about environment. You might be hearing that I'm always saying that don't do this, because already these things have done. The harm has already been done. What about our kids, their kids, their kids? Just because we need luxury, just because we need new products, we are exploiting the natural resources. So we need to give the knowledge and develop the skills in order to save the environment, because we need to behave like a citizen who is responsible. Just regulation of traffic, if you follow, that's not enough. You have to follow the regulation of the earth, mother earth, nature. Fossil fuel you are using, it is going to finish some time. The gases it is producing, it will remain in the environment. The plastic will be forever with us. So first learn about the environment. What does it mean? Learning about the environment is about acquisition of knowledge and understanding of our surrounding. That is, get the knowledge, get the information, and understand what is around you. It's not only you. You cannot live alone. Plants, animals are living with you. See, first is learning about the environment. Then comes the learning through the environment. What is this? This boy is picking up the plastic and putting it somewhere in the say, garbage bag. So now, if you think that you go to school, then college, then tuition, go to malls, this may be your life. But the problem is, we are not going to the environment. We just go to have fun. We are not engaged with the environment. So we need to learn with engagement with the environment, and we need to observe by ourselves. We have to go outside our classroom. We have to do the experience, hands-on experience. We have to learn by doing, and then we have to see the problem and then take proper action to solve it. This environment damage is already happened. Now we need to minimize it. We can minimize it by developing the skills and knowledge. Because if you don't have the knowledge of how to utilize the resources, what are the green processes, what are the technologies, what are the integration we have to do in the business, in our daily life, to safeguard our environment, to safeguard our biodiversity, to safeguard the life of our next coming generation. Okay, this is how you can learn through the environment. If you're using 100, just use 10. Save it for your upcoming generation. Then learning for the environment. That means learning for the environment is the development of an informed response and responsibility towards the environment. That is, something is happening, you need to know how you need to respond. If someone is cutting the tree, you need to stop them from cutting the tree. And responsibility towards the environment, everyone has the responsibility. Not just few people who have NGOs or who are say environmentalists. No, only Greta Thunberg will not do everything. Reduce, reuse and recycle. These are the 3 R's. 3 R's, and these are very important for saving the environment. 3 R's: reduce, reuse, recycle. Reduce, reuse, recycle. And this has come from the today's modern waste management. Because previously what you will do, put everything in the polythene and just throw it wherever it is wherever there is an open plot, free plot. It's not like that. Now we need to have proper waste management. So again, 3 R's: reduced, reuse, recycle. What does reduce means? Do not use what you don't need. In Corona times, when we were in houses, today also we are in houses, with very minimal resources, we are able to live. Okay, that is, whatever, if you use less, there is a less chance of worst waste generation. If you say the Nagar Nigam will do or the waste management will do, no, it's about you, individual level. You can do what? If don't do unnecessary shopping. Even if you do, choose the item with minimal packaging. Any disposable item kind of stuff, don't take it, avoid it. Don't ever use the plastic carry bags, right? You can use a cloth or a jute bag. It can be washed and you can use it again and again. Second thing is reuse. Reuse means you use the materials for other purposes. Don't just throw. For example, if you have a cloth, so old cloth, use it to make a pillow cover or rags. For example, a shirt or a kurti. You can use it for pillow cover or whichever, you can. It's up to your, artisanal. Where do you want to use it? Recycling means what? Recycling is reusing some components of the waste that may have some economic value. So it has various benefits. Okay. See, this is a plastic item. Once you throw it, it will go to, or even if you go to the kabadi, it will go for, recycling, and energy will be used, a new product will be formed. So the recycling will again take the natural resources, take the energy, everything. See, if it is not recyclable, then the case is different. But when it can be recycled, what you can do? Reuse the components or some components which are possible that have economic value. The benefits is the conservation of resources. Energy will be less used. Manufacturing and the manufacturing will produce pollution levels. All these aluminum, steel, they can be recycled many times. Metal, paper, glass, plastics, they are recyclable. The waste, that is the wet waste of kitchen, you can just put it inside soil and will become compost or manure, organic. We eat vegetable every day, so why can't we use it? So in every house, we need to religiously segregate or differentiate between the wet and the dry garbage. The wet garbage, as I said, can be used for making manure, vermicompost. There are so many options which you can do. And the dry garbage, you can use it, either you can reuse it or recycle it, you put it for recycle. So the non-toxic solid waste should be properly segregated and disposed of in landfills, because if you are putting it somewhere which have leakage or that can create contamination, it will finally go to land and groundwater, and that will again come to you, right? So I'll give you an example of Delhi. When you enter from Dehradun side to Delhi, you will see a very, very high mountain. This is your car. This is the extent of mountain. But it is not mountain. It is actually the garbage, the mountain of garbage. Okay. So ultimately, whatever you're doing will come to you back in any way. So let us take an example. We talked about reduce, reuse, and recycle. So reuse means using less things. Take an example of paper. You are using notebook, so why not to use it judiciously? Every notebook or copy book is coming from tree. A tree is cut to make it. Do not leave too much spaces and reduce the wastage of paper. Gandhiji used to write on letters. They do not waste a single paper. He'll fill everything. Then reuse, use things for longer time. When you are writing paper, always print and write on both the sides. Give your old books to your friends or your colleagues, juniors. It will be reused. So you will promote reuse of paper in this way. How recycle can be done? See, paper is recycled into making paper again. Paper can be made paper again. So this is paper. It can also be used for paper mash. Basically, it's a composite material consisting of paper pieces or pulp. Sometimes they are some textiles also, and they are bound with adhesive like glue, starch, and wallpaper paste. So paper can be made paper, and also this paper mash that can also be made. This is how you can recycle also. So what would be our, or what can be our action for saving the environment? What are our responsibilities? So first thing is air pollution. How can we avoid it? The avoidance of air pollution is by burning material. You shouldn't burn material. For example, wheat and rice straw, which are remaining after you take out wheat and rice grains, in burning of this on the agriculture field or wherever, causes air pollution. So what do? There are certain things, don't burn it. And there are things also like natural ventilation or fans in place of air conditioners you can use. In daytime also you are using fan, and in offices lights are on even if somebody is not there. Energy use, if you are leaving electrical appliances, even if you because lights are in LED etc., but fan, wherever you have motor, don't use it because motor takes a lot of energy. Always use public transport, buses, cycles, car only when it is dead required. Use solar and wind energy. Water pollution, how to avoid it? Don't throw waste or effluents in rivers and lake. First treat them. So using recycled water or water harvested through rains for watering garden plants, this you can prefer. Rainwater harvesting is very important way. You can use this water even if rain is not coming. So waste, first, plastic bag, a big no. And you need to segregate waste. The wet waste, the dry waste, and these biodegradable waste can be harvested. Chemical in the food, using chemical pesticides or fertilizers, don't use this. Avoid using this. And you need to use organic only. Okay, everything should be organic, and anything chemical is not acceptable, should not be used. Okay. Forest plants, paper is coming from trees, so just avoid papers. Everything is digital now, right? And using paper for making paper based product or paper also. Water, avoid overuse. See, water, whatever we are using extra using of water is not used being is actually the limited in other parts of the world. So just whenever you are bathing or doing anything, shower, use less water. Now let us see the question and answer. What are some of the environmental changes caused due to modern methods of agriculture? So these are the answer. Let me explain it also. First thing is, see, improvement in the environment, no. Lower air pollution due to crops, no. Decrease in forestation, no. So what are some of the environmental changes caused due to modern agriculture methods of agriculture? Chemical pollution due to fertilizer are the changes. See, decrease in forest area can be an answer, but since one answer is being asked, so the A should be correct. How can we conserve our health and environment? Choose all the correct options. Growing organic crops. So you can conserve the health and environment by this. First is growing organic crops. This is important. Then using natural fertilizer, it is okay. Managing wastewater, use more air conditioning. No. It has to be as least as possible. So these incorrect, others are correct. Now third one, steel factory burns firewood and charcoal for heating and melting the steel. What are the possible effects on the environment? So steel factory is burning firewood also and charcoal also, melting the steel. What are the possible effects of the environment? Increase, there will be increase in global temperature, carbon dioxide and heat. Decrease is wrong. Increase in air pollution, definitely it will increase the air pollution, definitely. Decrease in air pollution, no, that is not. So A and C is the answer. Now coming to what are the 5 sources of energy available to us? Give 2 examples of each source. So there are different sources of energy, and there are different categorization. Renewable resources, non-renewable resources, exhaustible resources, inexhaustible resources, organic resources, inorganic resources. But the energy resources, when we are talking about the big category, renewable and non-renewable resources. Renewable means once you use it will replenish or renew itself. Non-renewable, that will be that are the. First, let us talk about the renewable. Renewable energy: solar, hydropower, biomass, geothermal. Inside we have heating or heated. So this energy we can use, wind we can use. So these all are renewable source of energy. So this is how renewable resources of energy which will replenish or renew itself. And coming to the non-renewable, that the amount are limited. That is, once they are used, they will be finished, or they will take millions of years to be formed. For example, crude oil. Thousands of years back, this has formed. So diesel, petroleum, kerosene has been formed. Nuclear also will, because it is coming from this certain metals, non-metals only. Coal, it is already finished, almost finished, and we are using it in such a pace. Then we have the natural gas, it is also finishing. What are the sources of pollution? The sources of pollution? See, the category of main pollution are the air pollution, and then this going to air, contaminating the air. Then we have water. If water which is normally fresh, we are putting the waste onto land, that is land pollution. Then sometimes hard noise with a lot of amplification and intensity is harmful. So first of all, vehicles. All the vehicles are polluting the air. It is giving us, liberating CH4, the methane, nitrous oxide, carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide. If you're using excessive chemicals in agriculture, like the insecticides and the pesticides and the fertilizer, they are going to affect the pH value. pH value is basically the value which will give you what is the acidic value and the base value of the soil. So the organisms, the plants, they will grow at certain pH level. Okay. So we have plastic waste bottles we shouldn't use, and this flora and fauna should not be destroyed by our action. Dangerous gases like CFCs, chlorofluorocarbons. CFCs are the very important. CFCs are directly attracting ozone, methane, carbon dioxide. They are released into air. That will create a lot of trouble in our life. Our life is in danger, I'm telling you. Classify the following under the 3 respective categories of natural resources. See, inexhaustible, that is, they will never be finished. Air and sand is the answer. Renewable means once you use it, they will replenish itself. Wind, forest, and to a larger extent, fish is also there. Fish production, if you are overusing it, that will be a problem. But right now, fish is not that much of a trouble. But certain areas, fish have dried up. That is an issue today also. Non-renewable, we have iron, petroleum, gold, clay, pearls. So these are non-renewable resources because they will take a lot of time to come back. Okay. So these iron, petroleum, gold, clay, pearl fall under non-renewable category. So you can have a look here also.